Hello folks, and welcome to my channel, Books and Fantastical Wicks. If you're new, my name is Shri, and today's video is going to be a weekend vlog, sort of a reading vlog. Technically, this vlog is starting effective Saturday night, and I finished off my Saturday by making some progress with T. Kingfisher's A Sorceress Comes to Call. So accompanying our reading vlog today will be this blackcurrant absinthe scented Bewitching Tales candle, which I hand poured myself at home. This is not available at this time just because I'm testing out the scent, and so far I'm really loving it. We'll see how that goes. But if you do wish to bring some bookish coziness to your space or to your bookstore, you can definitely find those links in the description box below. I did want to kind of recap where I'm at currently and kind of catch you guys up in case you haven't read the book, just so you know this will be a spoilers vlog if it hasn't been made clear already. So in A Sorceress Comes to Call, essentially there is one main character, Cordelia. She's a young teen, 14 years old, and is terrified of her mother, who happens to be a sorceress and actually uses her powers in mistreating her own daughter. I mean, the story itself starts out with a church scene where the mother and daughter are facing the front of the church, and Cordelia is essentially what she calls being made obedient. She has absolutely no control over any of her muscles. She cannot move anything but her eyeballs, basically, from my understanding. And I think T. Kingfisher did a pretty good job of at least explaining how this feels, how this is supposed to be, at least within the first scene. It doesn't really come up as much after. Being obedient does, but the description of how Cordelia feels when being made obedient certainly does not. The description of her being able to feel every single sensation while she's made obedient, it was kind of scary because she doesn't have any control of her body. It's like she's inside her body but is able to feel everything going on the outside. So she can feel if a spider is crawling over her, she can feel the little sensations of her mom touching her, and she can't move a finger, she can't itch anything, and on top of that, psychologically, it's just not a good situation. So we can understand that Cordelia certainly doesn't have freedom in this relationship. I mean, her mother, whose name is Evangeline, by the way, she doesn't allow for doors to be closed ever, including when her daughter is changing. She doesn't allow for any sort of privacy within the home. She needs to have access to every single one of Cordelia's thoughts. And you can imagine that this girl grew up not knowing what normal or healthy is. She says that she's gotten used to being made obedient over and over again, and that when she was a little girl, a baby, even, she used to come out of being made obedient when she finally regains control of her body, that she would be screaming at the time, and over time she's gotten so used to it, she's learned how to manage that, which is kind of scary. Like, she's had to learn to manage her response to her suffering. Anyways, we move on, and Evangeline the sorceress essentially orders a man to butcher his entire family, and this is also done through controlling his body, or as again Cordelia would call it, being made obedient. So at that point, they pick everything up and leave the town, and Evangeline the sorceress, after having set out on a mission to find a suitable bachelor for herself, finds a squire who is not as wealthy as she would want, but she's trying to be realistic, of course, and convinces him to marry her. This squire has no idea what's going on around him. He doesn't know that his fiancée is a sorceress. As of where I am in the book right now, he still hasn't found out. He does have a sister, however, Hester. Hester is also one of the protagonists of this story, one of the main protagonists as far as I can see. She has premonitions of evil, of doom, just before Evangeline even arrives at home, and she feels this awful amount of dread. She's clearly sensing something that she doesn't yet understand. And when Hester sees Cordelia, our main character, she's very much thinking, oh, is this little girl as sinister and probably manipulative as her mother, or is she an innocent victim in her mother's schemes? And Hester does think to herself, if she is a victim that she would need to get the girl out. This 14-year-old girl, she looks terrified all the time, but then like on a random dinner occasion, she's very bubbly and she's very eloquent when speaking with everyone around her, whereas Cordelia on her own, when she's of course not being made obedient, she's very timid, she's very aloof, understandably, and she doesn't know anything about the world. Hester had invited some friends over. One of those friends and her lady-in-waiting have been offed by Evangeline under mysterious circumstances. It appears that one of them stabbed the other until you look deeper and you find out, well, Evangeline was controlling the friend's body. Where I stopped is basically the Squire and Evangeline had gotten married. Some crazy stuff going on with the friend coming back as a ghost and talking to Cordelia right now, but we'll see where that leads. It seems really random and out of nowhere. Okay, I think my description is getting a little long. But yeah, I'm basically where the Squire and Evangeline have gotten married and they are they're going off to their honeymoon. I don't know what happens after this, but from my understanding, Hester and her friend, her love interest, and Cordelia, all four of them are going to work together while Evangeline is out on her honeymoon to, I'm not sure, defeat Evangeline, send her away, like just keep the family safe, get Cordelia out of her grasps, like a lot going on there. I'm kind of excited to find out what happens next and what sort of plans they do come up with. Okay, I'm back after finishing the book and Evangeline is no more. The protagonist had taken her powers away and Evangeline's horse trampled her. I didn't enjoy this book as much as I enjoyed T. Kingfisher's A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. However, I definitely still had a good time reading it. I also have a habit of going on to Reddit or Goodreads to see what other people think of these books after I've read them, and I do have a few things that I do agree with, or just even have thoughts on. One of the Reddit users posted, "And the end was very predictable and felt cheap. Like, of course, after the protagonist protests right and left, they can't possibly kill the villain despite her body count. Her familiar will step in and handily do it for them. Honestly, at that point, I wanted to see her live and make do without magic, and I think she would have been far less successful at it than the other characters thought. But no. Everything must be tied up in a neat and tidy bow." I actually really agree with this Reddit user. I was super interested to see how things would play out once Evangeline did lose her powers. I personally feel like this could have added a lot to the story. It's not like I necessarily have sympathy for the woman. However, even for Cordelia's sake, I don't think that just completely offing her was the best choice. Then again, I'm not an author. I'm just saying as a reader that I would have liked seeing a little bit more play out after Evangeline did lose her powers. The possibilities just seemed really interesting to me. Not to mention I would have liked to see Evangeline struggle a bit too, while she tries to take control of other people and is unsuccessful at being so manipulative without her powers. Another Reddit user also posted, "Another odd detail to me was around the treatment of servants. Cordelia is kind to them, and how do you treat servants is a moral yardstick. Fair. But the unexamined classism runs deep in these characters. The butler gets to help, but only while he turns up after having been fired and is able to step outside the upstairs, downstairs class divide." And one replies to that, "It felt like the book wanted to be about class in some ways, with Evangeline chasing a rich husband and some passing remarks on all the expenses required to keep up such societal expectations and such, but it went nowhere, which makes the whole thing feel slightly in poor taste." I partially agree with these comments, but not completely. There's definitely classism showed in the book. I can also agree that some of these characters have classism running deep through their veins. I think there was a time where this was normal, and that doesn't make it right. The bond that Hester and Willard have, to me, seems a little bit more like there's some friendship enmeshed in there too. Again, from these comments, I can definitely agree that the unexamined classism does run deep in the characters. I understand if social climbing is not necessarily an interesting motivation. However, I do think it really seemed to fit Evangeline as a character. What I really don't like about this though, these sorts of caricatures of people who have never had anything and desire more, I do think it perpetuates a negative stereotype of people being able to go to any length in an unrighteous way to be able to climb that social ladder. And I don't think that's fair. Again, I'm kind of thinking about this political system right now where we live. I mean, I live in the USA, and as a country, even people who get welfare are painted as either lazy or needing to work harder, and as though they are stealing the money of American taxpayers. You can see how this sort of a narrative in A Sorceress Comes to Call, if left unresolved, isn't really helping that stereotype. So I guess in that way, I really do agree with some of these criticisms. Anyways, that is the video for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading The Sorceress Comes to Call, but that's it for today, and have a good one, folks.